Peace and welcome to the Real HD Show. This is the show you're going to hear on these or any other airwaves where tell you about the good, the bad, the ugly of our people, but we celebrate it with freedom music. We are the higher discussion. Glad you could join us. My name is the Vic, stands for the Victorious One, but you can call me Vic. We are here to blow your circuits, make you cut. We know it's worth it every Wednesday, right here on this channel. You know what I mean? You get to jump up on the panel if you want, some of this. If you want to communicate, make your community great, you can get in here, no fear. Say it with your chest, don't make a mess. We are here for you. We are the Real HD Show. So, I'm going to put the call letters in the box down below. You tap in, and we're going to have a good time this evening. You know what I mean? That's what we do right here on the Real HD Show. We edutain till you can't stand it. You know what I'm saying? So here's the number below. You jump in, you tell us what you think. You could either do it a couple ways. You could do it through the chat. You could come on backstage with us. You know what I'm saying? And make your point. Your voice is your victory here on the Real HD Show. Please share this particular post clip show. And let's get ready to have a great one. And only you can make it that. So you tap in, you get in here. Let's have a higher discussion. Um, Looking forward to bringing y'all in here tonight. Looking forward to dealing with this right here. You know what I mean? Let's make it clear what we're here for. Here we go. That's right. We are here for Original Woman's History Month. That's right. That's what we repping today in the most outlandish way. We're going to do it with you. We're going to do it as long as we can on the show. And we're also going to give you that power to the people's news, that awareness, so you can move fearless on the Real HD Show. You make sure you tap in. You make sure you connect with us the way you're supposed to, and we will get to it. But before we do that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. You know what I mean? Turn on your comments and notifications. Give us comments so that every time we have a Real HD Show, you guys can get in with us and have a higher discussion. That's right, a higher discussion. There's a lot of talking heads out there, but there's not too many people offering a higher discussion. Um, that's what we do here. So that you walk away with a battery in your back, you walk away feeling good, you walk away learning something that you did not know before you got in jail. So y'all can leave Netflix alone for a minute. Y'all can leave Paramount and all the streaming apps alone for a minute. TV, sports, the hoops for a minute, except for Sundays at 7 o'clock. We want you to tune in here. Sundays at 7 o'clock for all the hoop talk you can stand. We better than Stephen A. Smith. You know what I mean? We better than Fox Sports. We better than Skip and Skip Bayless and all the rest of them talking heads. Let's go to the sponsors. Total Package Energy, TPE, waters, gels, teas, zips, all the things to make you move when you have the need for speed, because some of us have a second half to our day. Redeem vacations. Make sure you bring yourself and anybody else. 5 other people. You got to bring 5 people to the Real HD Show or a Real HD Show broadcast of any consequence. Right? We have a lot of them. Bring anybody to the Real HD Show or any Real HD Show broadcast, and you too can win a 4-day, 3-night stay at a destination near you and of your choosing. As a matter of fact, we also want to talk about Bats Footwear. That's right, Bats. From the NOLA, revolutionary soul technology with a stylish, spicy twist to it. You know what I mean? They're gonna protect your joints and you're gonna be able to step out looking good, you know what I mean, feeling good, and your feet and your knees and your shins will thank you. Also, be healthy. Fresh Food Markets up in the Rochester area. You want to get your health on? Go see Negus. Go see Imhotep at the 4 locations all around Rochester, New York, Black House. Get all your cultural and art needs from there. Um, it's ash season because we're just getting over the winter. So, you don't want them elbows and them knees to be looking crazy, them lips to be looking crazy, that neck to be looking crazy behind them ears. Go get all your art and cultural needs from Black House in Rochester, New York on Monroe Avenue. We already got folks in the building. Sister Aurora is ready to go. We appreciate her always coming on. We're going to bring her on in just a hot second. Also, we want to go to some of our shows coming up, right? So, of course, like always, we're going to have, soon as it will load up, I'll bring it up. We got our lineup for the week. So, of course, the Real HD show is on Monday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., give or take, right? And then we also have the Overcoming Book Club series. Now, Sister Aurora, this is something that you might be interested in because this is my wife. Her name is Glows Forever. She goes by the Sage Dragon on YouTube, and she has a book club featuring Auntie Michelle Obama called the Overcoming Book Club series. This is her 5th episode in. We do that shadow work, we do that healing work, we do that recognizing work. Don't worry about the date. The date will change. I just wanted to show you the flyer for it. And it's coming up this Saturday at 11 p.m. So 11 a.m., excuse me. So if you're available and you want to get with some sisters and talk and really work through some things and see eye to eye, and you looking for that sisterhood, or you looking for that healing or that shadow work to begin in your life, check out the Overcoming Book Club series. Also, this Sunday we have in the bonus, that's right, in the bonus hoop show is coming on this Sunday, and we have a fantastic interview. That's right, we getting them interviews now. So not only is the show great, but we getting great interviews. We got the Division One AA Defensive Player of the Year, Karan Boyd, and he's gonna stop by. He's gonna chop it up with us. We're gonna give that young man every ounce of support. We're going to give him every ounce of love. We're going to talk with him about his basketball journey. We're going to talk with him about his aspirations for the future, what makes him tick. So you join us on In the Bonus Hoop Show for Hoop Heads interview with Division One NCAA, Division One AA Defensive Player of the Year, Karan Boyd. So you jump in. Brother Mozzie is on too. We're going to bring Brother Mozzie here in a minute. Man, we rocking tonight. All right. So, without further ado, before we get too crazy into it, let's bring our folks up. How my people's doing? What's going on with y'all?
Hey, we doing?
We doing well, man. We doing good. Awesome, awesome. Glad to see everybody. Glad everybody's in the building. You know, we are here tonight for this. We got Original Women's History Month. You know what I mean? Because as everybody celebrates International Women's History Month, the first woman was the original woman, that melanated sister. Can't resist her. We celebrating sisters this way. We did it last show. We're gonna continue it this show, and we're gonna do it the way it's supposed to. We're gonna give the sisters the first nod, and we also gonna do Power to the People news, and we got some goodies for you. We got some things we got to talk about. Brother Mozzie, how you been?
Oh, good man, good. Just Had one of those another birthdays. I'm still here and still trying to make it happen. You know.
Oh,
Happy
congratulations,
birthday.
man, congratulations on your solar return, my G.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Yesterday, my son took me out for an expensive dinner.
Fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you're getting all that money from, but hey, I ain't asking.
Yeah,
He was
love it.
paying. That's all I knew.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Dope. 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 Yeah, man. Kids, take care of your people, man. Take care of your parents. Take care of your grandparents. Your extended family. They take care of you. So it's only right to take care of them
That's
when you
right.
can. You know what I mean? So as
Yeah.
always, man, before we go too far, we standing on the shoulders of greatness. So we got to get into an elders and ancestors blueprint on the Real HD show. This is something that I don't know if either one of you are hip to, but we're gonna get into. It's about the Atlanta women's washerwoman strike back in 1880. Are you guys familiar with this?
Not familiar with that one.
Yeah, man. So let's get into it. Elders and ancestors blueprint right here on the Real HD show. Check it out. Talking about the Atlanta women's washer workers strike. That's right. You can go on the History Channel and they will give you, and you can also check out the National Institute for and Black Museum. They have a good kind of exhibit and expose on it. It's really interesting. And then Sister Aurora, we often hear about and there's a lot of resentment on a lot of our foremothers for the things that they had to endure when they had to do those domestic jobs. Like there wasn't pride in it,
Mhm.
like it wasn't, like it wasn't something, that they took care of families. Like it wasn't something honorable, like it wasn't something that meant something. And a lot of women in this day and age, interpret it as being a step and fetch, or one step from being a slave. Now we knew in those days that was Jim Crow times and or on the eve of Jim Crow, and there wasn't a whole lot of work that sisters could get, and they had to take care of their families and things like that. But we want to hear about how they galvanized, unionized, and did something really, really special during that time period to protect themselves right here on the Real HD show as we celebrate Original Women's History Month right here on the show. So give me 1 second. Let me pop this up and we're going to get into it. All right, StreamYard, be gentle with me now. Talk nice to me. All right, here we go. Sometimes you got to talk to that technology. Let them know what's up.
Strike on July 19th, 1881, black women domestic workers in Atlanta known as washerwomen went on strike to demand better pay for their labor. During the post-Reconstruction era in the South, job opportunities for black women were slim. In Atlanta, most would end up employed by white households as cooks, servants, maids, or washerwomen. Washerwomen had very difficult jobs. They had to haul water for long distances, make their own soap, and scrub clothes endlessly, on top of maintaining their own households. For all of their intense labor, wages for washerwomen were as low as $4 per month. In today's dollars, that's less than $30 a week. So in the summer of 1881, 20 washerwomen decided that they were going to take a stand. They formed the Washing Society of Atlanta and went on strike starting July 19th. They knocked on the doors of fellow workers to recruit them into the society and held rallies every single night with rousing speeches and tips about workers' rights. With this grassroots organizing, they grew from their original 20 founders to a membership of over 3,000 in less than a month. The strike quickly frustrated the rich white families who didn't want to do their own laundry. They grew sick of wearing smelly clothes and dealing with half-washed, sopping wet piles of laundry that workers would leave at their houses when joining the strike. It only took 1 week of striking before some white customers started ceding to workers' demands. The state cracked down on the organizing workers, arresting 6 and imposing heavy fines. Still, the Washing Society stood strong and ultimately managed to win over their demands. This was a remarkable milestone in the legacy of organizing for black women and service workers in the South, who, to this day, continue the fight for better wages and a seat at the table.
All right. Are you guys familiar with this particular strike here back in 1880 of all times?
And that was before or around the advent of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, sir.
And isn't it interesting how, once again, we were on the forefront of things. We working too damn hard. You ain't giving me no good money. All you want, let's strike. They weren't striking back then. They didn't really start striking till the 1900s. The general
Sister,
strike.
yeah, Sister Aurora, what do you think about not only and was it before I get your comment on this? Well, you know what? I say it after I get your comment. What do you think of the independence, the galvanization, the unionization of the sisters back then, so that they could get as close to fair treatment for what they were doing, especially for that time? What's your thoughts on that? Well, you got to unmute your mic, sis. Well, now you're good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That is before the women's suffrage movement, so that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's amazing. But there's another piece of news and piece of our history that gets buried.
Uh-huh. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what's interesting is I saw that particular clip, and I want to get to another sister that's totally amazing as well, Augusta Savage. She's a rider. She's a banger. We're gonna get into her in a second. Those are all good praises for anybody older than myself and Brother Mozzie. Those are good compliments. Anybody watching, because my aunt was like, "What you was talking about? Somebody was riding somebody. We talk anyway." So we're gonna get into Sister Augusta Savage, but I was watching the Jeffersons, and Florence was their maid. You watch the oldie but goodies, the reruns, and Florence had a maid's strike in her apartment because, of course, they lived in the Upper East Side with all of the muckety mucks and the richity rich,
Right.
and all of the maids had a strike in the Jefferson's apartment. Louise kind of co-signed on it, and then boom, they're all in there. Most of them are black, some European, Eastern European, or what have you, and they're in there galvanizing and all of that. And I didn't know this prior to preparing for the show. I'm doing my research on things, and I come across this, and I was like, wow, I've got to share this, because we think that unionization is only a 20th century invention, and here we go with our folks breaking the mold on some things that were pretty pivotal in the 20th century. What's your any last thoughts on that?
I just think that is amazing.
Just once again, we always said, we teach the world what they're to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle said, "Come and get your ninja lessons. We'll show you how to get it done." Yeah, man. So we want to get into another quick joint. It is about Augusta Savage. Now, this sister was dope because she was an expert in fine art. She broke mold, she broke barriers in fine art, and we want to get into her contribution to the culture right here on the Real HD Show. Still in the Elders and Ancestors Blueprint.
Augusta Savage, born Augusta Christine Fels, was an African-American sculptor associated with the Harlem Renaissance. She was also a teacher, and her studio was important to the careers of a rising generation of artists who would become nationally known. She worked for equal rights for African Americans in the arts. Savage received a commission from the 1939 New York World's Fair. She created Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known as the harp, inspired by the song by James Weldon and Rosamond Johnson. The 16-foot-tall plaster sculpture was the most popular and most photographed work at the fair.
Yeah, so that's her sister Augusta Savage. She was dope. You don't hear too much about the sculptors, the fine artists, the people that put their hands on the pottery, the people that put their hands and mold and shape and bring beauty to the world with their hands. Of course, you know about Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost.
Mhm.
That's really the only time you ever heard of a sister being bad enough with her hands like that, or getting a recognition to be bad enough with her hands like that, where she could do things in that regard. Yeah, you guys thoughts?
Uh, we just got to understand that we as a people, man, women and men, we, excuse me, we've done some really great things.
Mhm.
And although the current group in office and in the political realm want to do away with the true history of America, there's a lot there, man, that we've accomplished and that we've given and that we've created, and we gotta make sure we know about this stuff, man, because a lot of us now we don't create no more, and we're in a situation now where some things start changing going left. We don't know what to do, but we've always been in a position where we were creative, we were problem solvers, and we were creative problem solvers. And this is just another example of just our creativity. Um, and the Washington sisters down in Atlanta, problem solvers.
Sister Aurora, any thoughts on that vid with Sister Augusta Savage? Now remember, she was yeah, you gotta unmute your mic. She was during the Harlem Renaissance. So we
Mhm.
hear a lot about the music, we hear a lot about the orators, we hear a lot about the actors and the statesmen, but we don't hear about a lot of fine artists.
Mhm.
We hear a lot about the writers, Langston and his
Yes.
brethren.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
don't hear a lot about the fine artists. So now we're hearing about a fine artist that, of course, probably laid down roots. And of course, artistry is artistry. People are gonna, if you're good, they're gonna mimic you. They're going to,
Yep.
contemporary artists are going to try to copy your style and imitate your presence. And she made the "Lift Every Voice and Sing" harp sculpture after the
Mhm.
James Weldon Johnson national anthem. Your thoughts?
Yeah. No, well, that's amazing. We especially during that area, I just happen to see a lot of that. I've seen a lot of her art and know it because I happen to be surrounded by people who got fine art degrees. I wasn't blessed with that talent, but others in my family were, and so you saw a lot of different. You got familiar with a lot of different art. That's a wonderful thing.
It
Even
absolutely
during the
is.
Harlem Renaissance, they didn't big up her like that. So.
Right. We're gonna talk about another sister tonight that laid some stuff down during the Harlem Renaissance that didn't get a lot of praise and accolades, but a lot of people were inspired by her work, and she came at a time even before um what's the sister that uh the sci-fi writer, brother Mozzie,
I'm sorry, say that again.
the sci-fi writer, uh oh my gosh, why
The
am
one
I
that we
forgetting?
just fit, the one from the Matrix.
No, not Sophie Turner. Um, um, wow. Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Reacher. Um,
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Octavia Butler.
Octavia Butler, yes.
Octavia Butler. So before Octavia Butler, I'm not going to show her right now. We'll do that in our Lit City report. But um, We're going to hear about her and how she did that in the 1800s, inspiring people like, James Weldon Johnson, inspiring the folks who went on to do wonderful, wonderful things in the world of writing during the Harlem Renaissance. This sister, Paula Elizabeth, what was her name? Paula Elizabeth. Paula Elizabeth Hopkins. Really, really dope sister. Had some really, really seminal works, and we'll get into her in a minute. But right now, let's jump into our AAT report. Check it out. The AAT report. We are in that moment. Our healthy, wealthy, and wiser for a brand new you, because we need cell power. We are going to get into a joint. I believe no, sorry, not Brother Mozzie. Brother Sincere sent me this particular one, and this is very interesting because of a lot of the ruminations that have been going on over the last couple of years about the science and the medical community and what they were doing at a certain, pandemic time period. So this is interesting that right after the pandemic time period, something like this comes out, and it speaks really, really deeply to what people should be aware of and be vigilant of and move accordingly. Check this out, Real Ace Teacher.
Pill, if I can call it like that. So it is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance, the insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
All right. So they are at the World Economic Forum talking about an experimental medical pill that, once you swallow it, will implant a chip in your system where they can monitor your interactivity, monitor your medicine intake, monitor your bodily systems, and it's supposed to not now notice the man didn't say it was meant to help people. It was meant to help the insurance company and the doctors. What's your thoughts on that?
Wow. I find it quite interesting that they've gone to this length to create these type of things to manipulate humans when they don't even want humans on the planet. I don't get it. But, that's where technology's at, man. I mean, Bill Gates, isn't the Bill Gates Foundation is one of the major ones funding that kind of research?
Yeah, 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 yeah. We rushing to get that, Sister Aurora. You rushing to get the observation pill? What's
I
up?
know with the way they use with these scanners now and things that you have for, diabetes, that just another way that they're showing, oh, Roy, you should have been taking this, or you wouldn't be feeling well if you didn't take that. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, man. I thought it was interesting that typically the World Economic Forum does feature science and medicine, but these are not experts in science and medicine. These are experts in the field of business. These are captains of industry, and they're talking about the future of science and medicine through some observable electronic technology that can be inserted into the body willingly to observe you. And notice the big word that they said that they wanted, Brother Mozzie. They said they wanted compliance.
There
You
you
see that
go.
word? Do you see that word flash the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Old boy said, "We want compliance."
Aldous Huxley, The Technology of Control.
Mm.
And that was written in the 50s.
Yes, sir. I thought it was interesting. Hey, pardon if you hear the motorcycle noise in the background. Pardon that. I had to keep my window open, and that's what's going on in the background. Um, yeah, so I thought that clip was really, really interesting and very, very telling as to why, how, and why. Um, and we should be super vigilant, honestly, because they always like to crouch these things and something that's good for you, something that's a convenience, something that is going to ease your A to B day to day, you know, moving around and what have you. And I could see a lot of elderly getting into something like this. I'm not saying at some interval it might not be helpful, but to give we know health is a business, and to give them that type of autonomy over your privacy is a little wacky in my opinion. Sister Aurora, what you thinking? You giving up your bodily autonomy uh, for convenience?
For not for convenience, but for I mean, it's already done in the ways that it's supposed to be a diabetic and you have sensors on you and things that
Mm-hmm.
wake you up to tell you you got to eat before do something.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to have a pill. They already have things, signal circuit. You get to the doctor and they got all my numbers there already because it's fed from the sensor that's on my body. So
Yeah. Yeah. What do we think about the ultra mega rich and elite and business minded people having conversations about this? In my opinion, that's never good because
Well, that's never good. I mean, you saw it with
yeah,
the oxy epidemic,
yeah,
that came first from business people, not
mm,
from, you know, and that whole, I mean, that epidemic and any other pill popping epidemic that they had. So, yeah, that's, again, it's never new under the sun, but yeah, the business ones made it and look at how they've changed to being a pharmaceutical rep. That's like selling houses. You get one good doctor. Like I'm like, dang, they make a lot of money.
right.
Yeah.
Brother Mozzie, we talked before about Dr. Aurora, not Aurora, Dr. Angel Love, and how she was made out to be a quack during the pandemic when she said that they could put the silver chloride in the jabby jab, the juice, right, and give it to
Mm-hmm.
people, and that they might be possibly those sorts of mechanisms that could coexist within the body. And now, fast forward to this time period, and the business community talks like it's all but a done deal.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is, you go after people like that when you know that they've solved a problem or uh, came up with a solution to something that's happening or going to happen. And I think that maybe what she had came up with was far more reaching than the simplicity and the simpleness of what around COVID,
Mm-hmm.
because that's also the same time that they really started going mainstream with the bio nanotechnology,
Yeah,
and that's when Gates started speaking loud about that. But then if you put this in the body, for some reason that maybe that biologically the nanotech just don't work, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And we've talked on the show a number of times about the Internet of Bodies. So now we're talking
Hmm.
about how many gadgets and gadgets and things that are connected to the body are now in the fourth turning. They're in the technology of the uh, internet and of nano particles that can be radiated and attached to the body. First you had pacemakers, all and on and on. You got like chips all over the body for different things that they do to help out the bodily processes. Uh,
Mhm.
Sister Aurora talked about the diabetic processes that are going on for people, and we're always walking around with a phone, or back in the
Something.
days when it was a beeper, or you know, man, I
Yeah.
mean, you often wonder if one day they're just going to flip a switch and, every part of our body can be puppeteered based on how many electronic components are orbiting in our atmosphere at the time that they flip that switch. What
That's
was
how I
you
used to
going to
think about those pacemakers, like you had just
say? Yeah.
mentioned. First time, one of my family members had a pacemaker, and the doctor could call you and say, "Where is this person? They're in trouble," because
Yeah.
the cardiac rhythms are coming through the doctor's office. I mean, I had a great my grandmother. I was always like scared because I'm like, oh my God, I said she's in Washington and we're getting a message that something's happening, and
Right.
so that pays that if anybody's had any kind of relations with people having a pacemaker, and then you're thinking, well, what if the battery dies? It was just so, ugh. But now it's like a regular thingy,
And
between
they would
stents
tell, because my grandfather had a pacemaker, and they would tell the people, don't stand near this.
hey,
Don't be near the
don't be near
TV.
microwaves.
Don't be near the microwave. Yeah, they would actually tell you to tell your people don't do that. Like, pop, you gotta move back. You gotta go over in the corner because we don't want to happen to
Tackling your
So
grandma because something's going on.
crazy, man. This stuff is crazy. So please be vigilant. Don't give up your voluntary consent for convenience or benefits or perks. Be
And
vigilant.
study for yourself.
Yeah, please study yourself. Yes, yes.
Study.
Yes, absolutely. And don't think that a pill or some sort of convenience will give you the cure all, the panacea to all your medical issues without the work being put in first. Let us
Yep.
know at home. Have you ever experienced something with a medical product that was electronically conductive that gave you an issue? And you can relate to what we're talking about right now. And would you be willing to take this particular electronic pill that monitored your health, that stayed within the body, and all of that type of stuff? So let us know. I thought that was real interesting, and I thought it was like hyper interesting coming out of the World Economic Forum, and they're always trying to push their agenda on the planet. Yeah, man. So we rocking. Mozzie, did you hear about that rumble at the Blue Cross Arena?
Oh God. Yeah, I saw some clips of that, man. I
Yeah. Hey,
saw, and what I
it was
saw
something.
was here's one of the things that I saw. The old dudes who's retired that go work there to see events. He was in the mix breaking the fight up, him and another one. And the young
Really?
dudes who walk around like pretty boys and all swollen, flexed out, they look like they were scared to touch somebody.
It was crazy, man. Everybody was in there throwing down. So, Sister Aurora, this is one of our sports arenas in Rochester, New York, and it was a huge brawl that broke out. So, we're going to do a little bit of local news right now. And I just wanted to talk about, and it wasn't just the kids, it was at a championship basketball game in Rochester. So, it was
The
one of the bigger
sectionals.
sectionals, yeah. One of the bigger events where it's one of the often times where the Catholic school or the archdiocese school population meets the public school charter population. So everybody be up against it.
Everybody's out there.
Everybody's there because there's usually there's usually a parochial school in it. There's usually some sort of public school in it in the championship game, and then this crazy brawl breaks out. I meant to show it last show. We're gonna get into it really quickly for half a second. I just wanted to show you, some of what was going on, and we can kind of get into it on the other side. Trying to see what I named it. Um, yeah, youth. Okay, here we go. Real HD show. Check this out. All right, so we'll cut that off. So I'm glad Brother Mozzie's here to give a little bit more insight into it. What happened at the Blue Cross Arena during that championship game? Large police response. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, bro. Isn't there always a large amount of police outside the Blue Cross Arena when they're having big time
Outside.
events? Outside, right? Okay.
Outside, yeah.
Okay.
But remember,
Okay.
it's right across from the jailhouse and the
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
safety building,
Yep.
and they
Right
can
down the street.
mobilize.
Yep.
They can mobilize police officers. They mobilize some of the county sheriff that work in the jailhouse across the street. They've done that before.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I guess we have to ask ourselves the question of what the hell is going on that we can't go and enjoy a basketball game
Thank you.
and without mayhem just all over the place.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, and there's certain parts of there's certain little townships in this country that if your kid cuts up, the parent goes to jail. You know, and like in areas of Kentucky and Tennessee, Arkansas, and some of them townships, your
Hmm.
kid, well, any problem your kid cause, they're gonna take you to jail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And people are asking that question now: do we want to do something like that?
Mm.
And the
Do we?
sad part is this, though: we fight very hard to portray a positive image for ourselves. And there's always something that always shows us in a negative light, be it loving hip hop, the so-called housewives of the basketball in Atlanta and the baseball and whatever the hell else they got going on. All it does is show not just some dysfunction, major dysfunction.
Right.
And so as we're talking about why do Amazon need to have robots? They don't want that kind of shit in their factories, you know. And you know, when we talk about planned obsolescence, are we some of the people that they're talking about that's obsolete?
Mm. Mm. Are we showing the world that we're obsolete, or is it the other way around?
Right. I mean,
Is
and
this
the question is,
is this diagnosing? Is this a diagnosis of the lack thereof of development of our community? Pardon me.
it is that,
Where you
but
don't know how to handle yourself in public forums, public events, and you're so downtrodden and so I'm not victim splaining, but I'm just telling it like it is. Have you been across Jefferson? Have you been across Conkey? Whoa. But Joseph, whoa, right? So downtrodden, so many savage inequalities existing in that scenario that we're so underdeveloped that, folks, proximity violence, folks lash out at the low hanging fruit of the moment. What's your
mhm.
thought about?
Well, yeah, because those areas, you know, one of the things that I think that happens is, especially in Rochester, because Rochester is a little unique. Um, you know, we have a lot of benevolency here, and I think the benevolency is helping to create part of the problem that exists. Because if the
Mm.
problem didn't exist, we wouldn't need these benevolent organizations.
So
And then
you're speaking to the subsistence culture in Rochester.
exactly. But you
Yeah.
know, we still have to ask ourselves, if you're a parent and your child is a teenager and they wilding out like that, you hopefully somewhere along the line, because we care about what people see us driving, we care about what people see us wear. Don't you care about how your kids represent you out here in these streets?
Mm. Right. Or at least you should.
You know, can't don't go down there and your son, the main one they got on video, and talking about, oh, not my son.
Not
They were
my
trying
kid.
to jump my son. So what you think he was going to do? Well, why is your son even in the mix? He should be
Mm-hmm.
in there watching the game. He should be over there
Mm-hmm.
trying to get a hot dog or something. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
be in the middle of the mix of the fight.
Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be about school pride. It's supposed to be about school
Mhm.
Yeah.
patronage.
School and community.
Yeah, it's supposed to
Mhm.
be all of that's supposed to be on display because these are the representatives of the school playing in a championship format. Supposed to be the best that the school has to offer athletically. And the schools come out to represent the best of what they have to offer. Cheerleaders, dancers, administration, sometimes they advertise. and what a black eye on the schools that actually participated in the event that night. And what do you guys, Brother Mozzie, what do you think is the future of these Blue Cross Arena events now that something like this has happened?
Well,
Is this
it happens, and then they go, and what they do is they cancel
Next
Section
year,
5 events there. And
mhm.
then, it goes away for a few years. Then people say, well, I want to play in the big house. So they bring it back again. I think they're going to do like they did, when my kids were in school. Uh, if you do not, if you're not with a parent, you can't get in.
Yeah, yeah,
mm-hmm.
Um, and whoever you come in with as a parent, the parent got to show ID, and you have to sign to take responsibility for that child. It's like we got to go back to elementary days. You can't just drop off no preschooler or no kindergarten and walk away
sign a
because
waiver. Sign a waiver like, yo, if some shit pop off with your kid, you go to jail. Sign
Yeah.
this waiver come with your ticket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that is different because now it's like you're saying, you got to be, somebody says, "Oh, or are you going over to see your daughter's game? Could you take this one, and, with us,
Right.
can't get
The
in
carpool. The
without, yeah."
carpool. Yeah.
So I got like 5 people, 5 kids, not mine, but going in because they can't
Uh-huh.
go in by themselves, even if it's their school now. Because it used to be like, here's a school line and kids go on this line and everybody else. But no, and I was like, what? I was leaving, and then my daughter calls me, could you come back because this one, they won't let them in unless you're coming in with them.
Oh,
Tell them
yeah.
before your show. I'm like, I'm trying to do a few things before your things start. So I
Right.
said, you have to sit outside and wait for me to get back. But
Yeah.
in
It's
doing those kind of things now, we could always go. There was always, yes, some stuff would pop off outside of the arena, but for championship things like that, this is supposed to be a little bit more, contained.
yeah, it just, it saddens me. And it wasn't just the kids. There was
Right,
adults
it's
there.
the adults.
There was adults there scrapping too, not just the workers who
Mhm.
security, but parents was in there scrapping. And I'm like, really, y'all? Come on. Like, and then like, when we really need and Brother Mozzie's back. Okay, let me put him back in. They need to connect. Yeah, you got it. Okay, there you go. All right, bro, you in. But yeah, so one of the things that was really pivotal about that I was gonna say was like then politically and socially and community wise, we need people to fight both physically, literally, and fight with their galvanization in community. And we can't get folks to do that, but we can get folks to fight this way. So, and we know
Mhm.
this goes on all over the country. There's not an urban area where at some point some fight over whatever breaks out, some urban disturbance or whatever breaks out over difference in opinion or whatever it breaks out over. Sister Aurora, how come we can't get folks to fight for the important stuff, but we can get folks to fight over the petty stuff? What's your thoughts?
Mhm.
What's your thoughts?
I mean, it's just I don't know. It's the sign of the times, but somewhere along the way, respect stopped being taught. You
Mm,
know, I
mm,
mean, it really it's like it's somebody's kid, because you always hear it's not my kid. And when I was a court advocate in Hempstead, it was always I'm like you're talking about it's not your kid and how do they have them? I said your child is 14 and bought a car. Talk to me, okay? You don't
mm.
know nothing about this, so don't go blind and see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Your
Right,
child is in my 8th grade classroom and they bought a car. Okay.
right.
And you have, and then you sitting there, outside at the church talking about how they bought you furniture, but you can't tell me what job they got. What's their occupation?
Mm.
What's their trust fund look like, and who gave it to them? And so
Mm.
when stuff happens like that, I used to get when I was in Hempstead, I was a court advocate, and people always wake me up at
Me
3 o'clock in the morning and all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, now before
Yep.
you get me up again, how your child doing X, Y, and Z? Okay, and you act like you don't know nothing about it. And like they come into my shop, telling me keep the change from 100. You know, I'm like, and then
Mm.
you gonna run behind? Oh, not my boy. Your boy ain't even out of high school. Something's happening. You
Right.
know,
So
and
we talking
now,
about we talking about the neglect from the parents and neglect to not
mhm,
teach your kids, develop your kids, you
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Come on. You used to be able to trust that, that your kid, they're in high school. Yeah, oh, mom, the game's tonight. And you would want them to go. But now you want to be there because something's always popping off. You can't even have a nice dance anymore. They
Mm.
had at Unionville, they used to have a lot, we used to have a lot of dances and, just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recreational things.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the things start popping off, and then other people started coming up to the school, waiting for people who were inside the school, out of school. I mean, and then you'll get a whole group of people, telling me in the court, not my kid. But I'm like, but I got 5 of your kids here getting ready to be seen by this judge,
Yeah.
and things like that. So, it's not, the parents know, because if you're a teacher, when like I had to go to the school for my child, and I said, I understand that the person who left from in front of me may not be the person that showed up at your door here at the school. You would hope they would be, but yeah, you can't sit there and say, not my child. I mean, I taught your child. I got here. This is how your child talked to me. Okay, so it is your child. And I mean, I taught for about 12 years before I'm like, how many people tell me it's not yet? I said, the person that you left you this morning, okay, is not the one that showed up in my class. So let me tell you about the child that I get. And and people have to recognize that it is your child. Okay, take ownership. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you will have to pay that legal bill. So take ownership. You know.
Yeah. There's an interesting series on right now. It's called Adolescence. And it's on
Oh my gosh, I just sat there and started that a little while
oh,
yesterday.
I won't give it away then.
Don't, yes, please, because
And the
I
only
was
reason I
caught.
watched it because as an educator, I got to deal with the kids with the cell phones and with
Mhm,
the hyper bullying on the cell phones. And when I looked at the critique of the show,
mhm,
the trailer of the show, it said that that's what it was dealing with. So I said, but it was a
mhm.
European area. I think it might have been Australia or UK.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Someplace in Australia or the UK, because based on the
Mhm,
accents, and something really ill went down. I won't give it away for everybody. I'm not a spoiler person, but I won't give it away for y'all.
mhm,
It's interesting what they do in that show and how they wrap it up and how it kind of ripples like a rock in the water. The ripple effects
mhm,
that happens not only to the children involved, but to the parents, to the community, and to everything at large. So
mhm,
when we talk about fights at uh, Blue Cross Arena and things like this, they have a ripple effect on the community because when you want to do things like summertime basketball, you know,
mhm,
fall lacrosse or fall football, and it looked like a penitentiary scene. Now you know why.
mhm.
When you think it's going to be just a normal game that you or your kid
Smoking.
or a relative is involved in, and you're going to sit there, eat your pretzel, and have a good time, and you got 1,000 police officers getting paid OT to stand there and pick their nose. Now you know why.
Mhm.
Brother Mozzie, you with us, bro?
Yep. I don't know what happened there, but I'm back.
Oh no, you good, bro. It might have just been some technical difficulties. You know how they do. They like to try to stifle the progress. But anyhow, do you think this Blue Cross Arena piece? You know, uh, I'm not gonna drag this out too much longer. Do you think this is a result of years and years of benign neglect on the people of Rochester, educationally and civically? That something like this would
Um,
erupt.
I want to say yes, but
Okay,
here's the important part about that.
okay,
That benign neglect comes from people who look like us because we are the
agreed,
main ones who
agreed.
populate all these organizations and agencies that work with us. You know, we always want to say, you know, we need to have a culturally relevant this, that, and the other. You can't get more culturally relevant than being on the same skin team. So
Right.
when we start talking about these issues that we have, we really have to start looking at ourselves and ask ourselves, how the hell we get here?
Mm.
You
Yes.
know, and
Right.
also say,
Right.
you know, and where's the embarrassment? You know, back in the day, when
Oh
our
my
parents would say, "Boy, you
big
better not go
brother.
out there. You better not
Don't be
embarrass me out here in these
embarrassing.
streets.
Don't go out there in the streets embarrassing
Don't
us.
don't embarrass me out in these streets."
You ain't got no money in your pocket. You don't go in that store. You don't get it.
You know what I mean? And so, but at the same time, you know, when we did things, going to the game, we knew was a great privilege. And what has
Yes.
happened in our society is these kids feel like these things are their right and they're entitled to it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So if some of these things become more a, you know, it's not your right and you don't have to be here. As a matter of fact, if you want to be here, you need to do something extraordinary that will allow you to be in this space.
Yeah, that was going to be my next
And then we
question.
have to
So
look at,
sorry about
and then
that.
I'm gonna throw something else out at you. We need to start looking at also too, and I hate to throw politics into this, the liberal democratic policies that have allowed for us to sit there and allow these kids to act like this.
Mm.
Parents are scared of their kids. Why? Because they might go to jail. For those who do try a little bit or try a lot, they're scared.
Mm.
And these are policies of the feel good, the policies of kids got all these rights, you know, and we got to listen to how, you know, and listen to them. I'm like, I'll listen. I always listen to what my kids got to say. I want to hear that shit half the time, but I'll listen. And we have to start thinking about, you know, the things we do. And part of it is we got to turn off channel zero because when you listen to our music, when you look at the movies that we watch as a people, talking about type movies. I'm talking about these little independent movies now that you can get on. All
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
movies are all straight hood movies of cutting up in the street.
Yeah. The Tubies and the Freebies and all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
You
you
know
know
what's
we have to.
interesting? You know what's really interesting about Tubi, right? Was it Tubi or was it the other one? It might have been another one, but one of these low budget streaming sites, right? They showed the black movies like that to get like a during a time period where the station sister Aurora wasn't really doing well. It wasn't rocking. Nobody was paying attention to it, and then they'll show like what's the movie with Damon Wayans? Um,
Papa's house? Or
no, that's the series. What's the movie with him? With him and his brother Marlon Wayans.
oh, money. Was it that Money Talk or
Money Matters.
yeah, money,
Money
yeah.
Matters, and all the old Jamie Foxx movies with him being a
Mm-hmm.
comedian, Booty Call, and
Booty
all those
call.
movies were great when the channel was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the channel moved into a Nielsen share, now they want to kick those movies in the back burner and only promote the Hallmark, Lifetime, Bravo type of joints. So Brother Mozzie, even on that level, they're being used and exploited, and not given their just due in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And then here's the other thing that happens too, because you should find a lot of them on Prime, Amazon Prime,
Right,
and they're being
right,
slowly replaced with Nollywood. You notice that?
right, right.
Yeah.
Yep,
You know
yep.
what I mean?
Nollywood and
Um,
Hollywood.
yes. And then the other piece is, which everybody don't understand, is Tubi has grown tremendously,
Yes, yes.
Yep.
and its parent company is Fox News. It's
So that
Fox.
so that is the one I was talking about. It was
It's,
Tubi. Okay. It
Tubi
was
is owned by Fox. Ain't that
uh huh.
something?
Uh-huh.
You know what else used to be owned by Fox? Remember UPN?
Yep.
Had all the
Yep.
black shows on there, and there was one other one. I forgot which one it was, but remember back in the 90s, all those black shows that used to be on, they were on those alternative networks.
Mm-hmm.
Those networks blew up. And what happened? Once the network got big, they shut them all down.
Do y'all think that reality TV and what I was showing in the last, remember the last show, Sister Aurora, where the girls was fighting each other naked,
Mm-hmm.
and that thing called Bad Girls Fight
I said
Club?
it was a show. Yeah.
It's Bad Girls Fight Club UK, Bad Girls Fight Club US. And this one sister stripped butt naked just to fight another one. The other one came out in her bra and they scrapped like dudes. And this was an audition. This isn't even the show.
Once
So
again, that showing dysfunction, man, we don't get on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is, just like with our music, we eat that shit up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as long as they're eating it up, they're going to always make sure there's some samples out there, and they will pay them well, and they will continue to produce that mess. We
Mm-hmm.
just got to, as a people, make a stand for something, man. Something outside of EBT and Section 8.
Oh boy.
I'm being a little funny, man, but
Oh
we got to
boy.
stand for something, man.
Yeah, DEI Walmart strikes, right? Walmart and Target strikes, you know.
And you notice
Boycotts,
it, it,
boycotts.
these boycotts, ain't nobody really talking about them no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did them two may say? We episodic with a 2-week memory. And the
Mm-hmm.
episode is over. 2 weeks is up. We don't remember.
Yeah. 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 But there's good
You
stuff
know,
on the other side, though, and we getting ready to celebrate something toward Women's History Month. I said I was going to do that on the show tonight, so let's get into Lit City Report, the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round, because we need levity. That was a heavy, heavy subject we were discussing when we are talking about the degradation of our youth, but we want to give our youth something to aspire to, so we want to put, where's this at? We want to put this up.
Okay.
Sister Aurora, can you see that?
Yes.
Could you help us out and tell the
You,
people at home what's on the screen?
well, this is where your start did not begin in chains, and these are some of the well-known queens of Africa that ran, what is it called? Well, not just the continents, but cities and clusters of tribes, and they led tribes. And so here they are. And I think a lot of now it's amazing where you can find or see who some people are very knowledgeable about African history because one of their daughters have one of these names. Okay, so
That's the truth.
it
That's
is.
the truth. You spot on about that one. Right. So if your daughter got that type of a name, she don't have no business scrapping at the Blue Cross of bringing
That's right.
thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in the picture we see Queen Amina, you know what I mean, the warrior queen herself.
Mm-hmm.
We see a queen that not a lot of people talk about, but she was a baddie, Queen Amana Reyes of Ethiopia, the Cushite queen that stomped a mud hole in the Romans. We see Queen Makeda, we see Queen Nandi, and then we see Queen Nzinga, and we see the first one. We see as the oldest queen, one of the oldest queens, which is Queen Tai, of course. That was Tutankhamun's mama. Um, really, really dope queens. Really did some really great things. We don't have the time tonight to get into all of that stuff. Ivan Van Sertima has a great book called "Wonderful Women of Antiquity." Is that the proper title of it, bro? I think it's called
Yeah, that's it. Wonderful Women of Antiquity.
Wonderful Women of Antiquity. So if you got a young lady between the age of 13 and 25 and she needs a foundation for how to begin her journey of knowledge of self, and you want to inspire her, not just show her folks in bondage, you can introduce her to some of these marvelous people, and their exploits and their accomplishments, and she and or he will have a launch pad towards success for their self and upliftment, to say the least. So yeah, so that was one of our lit city reports for the evening. And we got to get back into another crazy, because did y'all hear about that 4-year-old baby that had to do what she had to do for mama?
What's that?
Yeah, man. In Michigan, there was a 4-year-old baby that had to do the unthinkable to protect her mother. And I don't usually feature a lot of our folks in the street getting shot and getting run down, because I don't really like featuring those type of things. I don't really think it does a lot for us. But this particular young lady um, had to protect her mom. Her mother was in Walmart, bought an expensive product. The cashier at Walmart, you know how they harass you over the different over your receipt. Y'all familiar with that? Sister Aurora, you gotta unmute your mic.
How they try. I'm sorry, my dogs are running around.
Oh no, you're good. We can take the dogs.
Yeah,
We love
but
dogs.
because these are brats. But yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, so they formed the Soul Train line to get out of the door of Walmart when they want the person to check your receipt before you walk out, like you didn't just pay for your product and there wasn't like 1,000 cameras on you as you pay for your product. You know what I mean?
I'm
Now they
one of
want
those
to
bad
actually.
people. They got to come after me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't do it because it's not even legal. It's not even legal.
Yeah,
You
and
don't
that's what
have
I'm
to.
saying.
You
I
don't
tell
have to
people that.
adhere to them. But a
That's
cop
fine.
actually listened to the person who didn't get to check the woman's receipt because she was busy trying to like get her car. She had a young 4-year-old with her. She's juggling. She's multitasking. She told the cop that the woman didn't pay for the unit. The woman had to go back in, do this, do that. Her and the cop got into an altercation over the matter. The cop yoked up, and this is in the parking lot at this point. Cop yokes up the um, black mother, and pulls out a gun and tells the mother she needs to calm down or this or that. 4-year-old gets out the car with the burner in her hand and does the unthinkable to protect her mother. Y'all familiar with that at all? Y'all familiar with that story?
No.
Yeah, let me put it on real quick and then we could talk about it on the other side. It's crazy. When I saw this, I was like, wow, this country is going in so many wacky, crazy directions. Check this out, Real HD Show.
That killed a cop in Michigan. Don't worry about it. 38-year-old Denise Williams and her 6-year-old daughter Aaliyah went to Walmart to buy a TV. As they're leaving, the receipt flies out of Denise's bag. She doesn't realize it till she gets to the door. Trevor, the Walmart employee, stopped her, asked for proof of purchase. She realized it was missing. She flags down the cashier that had just processed the transaction. Cashier confirms it, but he is insisting that she cannot leave without a receipt. She's frustrated and determined not to cause a scene. Denise proceeded to her car and waved down a man in the parking lot to ask for help to load the TV into her car. As they're doing that, Officer Lindsay Carter pulls up. She has a reputation of being overly zealous. She exited the vehicle with her hand already resting on the holster gun. Trevor called the police, claiming that she had stolen the TV and assaulted him on her way out. Officer Carter immediately confronted Denise, accusing her of theft and demanding that she put her hands behind her back. Denise, caught off guard, tried to explain that she had already paid for the TV and confirmed it with the cashier, but Carter's tone grew increasingly aggressive. When Denise hesitated to comply with being handcuffed, pleading that she'd done nothing wrong, Officer Carter grabbed Denise by the arm, struck her in the ribs, and forced her to the ground, placing her in a chokehold as Denise gasped for air. Aaliyah, still seated in the SUV, watched in horror as her mother struggled. Panicking, she remembered the firearm her mother kept in the glove compartment for protection, a weapon Denise had taught her to handle safely. Acting out of fear and desperation, Aaliyah retrieved the gun, stepped out of the SUV, pointed it at Officer Carter, screaming for her to stop. When Carter turned toward Aaliyah and appeared to reach for her own weapon, Aaliyah fired a single precise shot, striking the officer in the eye. Carter collapsed to the ground dead. Aaliyah immediately dropped the gun and rushed to her mother's side, sobbing and begging for her to wake up. As Denise is regaining consciousness, more officers are arriving on the scene. They are both taken into custody, but after thorough investigation, they were cleared of any wrongdoing. They also watched the footage of her buying the TV. And Aaliyah is basically deemed a hero, is justifiable as she acted.
Wow, a 4-year-old had to do that.
I thought she was 6, so she's 4.
Yeah, she was 6.
Oh, was she 6?
Oh, she was 6?
Yeah, they said 6-year-old.
Okay.
But even at that would have to do that and now live with that because of I like how the auditor was saying, the zealousness of the calm. That's crazy. That's
But
crazy.
you know what's funny? They said that they both got off, and they knew that they had a bad seed and did not mind the sacrifice.
You gotta say more. You gotta say more about that, bro. Talk to me.
Well, how did you heard what the lady said when she come on? That she's known for being overzealous.
Oh yeah.
So if she's known for being overzealous, what would it, and to stop this from turning into a big, massive to do hoo-ha, they cleared them because clearly she was choking the mom. You know why you got this woman in a chokehold?
Right.
Like you MMA don't make no sense. So unfortunately, she had to take one for the team. But watch the next thing that happens, which means we're gonna take 1 or 2 of y'all, and don't expect our people to be found guilty of it happening.
No, okay. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Since yeah.
Yeah, she was the sacrifice. Okay, see, we got the bad one out of here. I ain't saying that's what it is. That's just my take on it.
Is Michigan a concealed carry state? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay.
But they are a little bit liberal. They are a bit liberal with their gun laws, though.
Yeah. Crazy on crazy, man. Crazy on crazy.
But think about this little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
think about this little girl. Think about how this little girl now has shot somebody in the eye.
Right.
And does she just think like it ain't no big deal? Or as she grows up and she's learning more and different things, and it starts to eat away at her.
Mm-hmm.
Or she's like, oh well, and now she becomes some homicidal maniac. I mean, this thing can go in a lot of different directions, man.
It can, and they got to get this girl some really good counseling. She got to be able to speak this stuff out and exercise, however this is, ruminating in her system, so she could remain a healthy person. Because not only did she see the trauma happening to her mom, in response, she had to create her own, set of stress and anxiety and craziness. And then now, how does that person, readjust back to preschool? You know what I mean?
And to think, why do we have to teach our 6-year-olds how to use a gun?
Thank you. You took the words
Yeah.
out of my mouth. I was just about to say the thought.
Yeah, and that was actually the last question I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why do we have to teach our young people to be that hyper vigilant. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
At
speaking
6.
at 6,
It's
speaking
6.
of that, let's check this out because we haven't really tapped into this. Real quick video, Real HD show. Here we go.
Community in Ohio, which is now the center of a growing national debate about civil rights, hate speech, and the Second Amendment. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford visited the town of Lincoln Heights, where residents have formed an armed community defense group in the wake of a neo-Nazi rally. Morgan joins us now. You were there just on Tuesday. What did the residents tell you about what's going on?
Yeah, I was there just this week. John, it was fascinating because what's interesting is that this town was founded during the Great Migration back in the 20s as a refuge for black citizens, which is why it was especially painful when neo-Nazis suddenly appeared in this 3,000-person majority black town. But they decided to fight back, taking up arms and patrolling their own streets. Now they're at the center of a much larger debate about protection and free speech and who gets it.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
They're business owners, their fathers, their sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio. After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, "Our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved." But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Look at my baby. Fuck you talking about? Fuck is you talking about?
Yeah, that was on this morning.
All right.
We were talking about
So
that.
there we are.
Yep, that was on the World News.
Uh-huh.
I saw it this morning, and
Yeah.
you know, friend of mine, we were talking about it because
Yeah.
one, not only did it, put the spotlight on this town, but two, there needs to be more more coverage now because the being on the World News from this little town is not by happenstance, and I think that is by design. And so we need to keep our folks there in prayer because you just daring another group to come up there. I mean, first it was the neo-Nazis, then it was the KKK in an area where they know there's all black families. And so when I saw that this morning and how they used to how they are at the kids' bus stops and things to make sure that everyone gets home safely, I said, there's a target now on that town. And I feel that, we all got to keep our eyes open and keep them in prayer because that wasn't by design that it ended up on the World News. It wasn't. So I'm just praying for the families there. And glad that the ones that be vigilant. Yeah.
Brother Mozzie, Lumbertown. It was one of the kind of safe havens as folks, during the Great Migration moved from the Mississippis, the Louisianas, the Jim Crow of it all up north to get better work in the 20s all the way through the 40s. And one of the towns that weren't a sundown town within what can be a pretty bombastically racist state was Lincoln Heights. And now, does the history and the legacy precede the reason why these neo Nazis wanted to, start some ish up in there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I just find it interesting, once again, this preoccupation with black people. You tell us to go over there and get the hell away from me. We went over there and we got the hell away from you. And then you come over because we're over there by ourselves doing our thing.
Right.
You still have to come over and mess with us. But the beauty of it is that we have men and women who say this is not going to happen to us.
That's right.
And just the fact that they have enough people that they can have on patrol is awesome. If we can get a fraction, if we can get that same number of people that here in Rochester to do something, because only a town of 3,000, we're a town of like 260,000. If we can get that same number of people to commit here in Rochester, we can solve some problems, man.
Yeah, the problem with Rochester, man, too many cooks in the kitchen, man.
Well, it's done by design.
Don't nobody want to shut up and kind of take a lead or actually employ some strategy. I've been a part of some of the community groups throughout Rochester, and I had to just fall back because I was like, I'm not going to be part of y'all killing yourself if y'all don't want to go in there without contingency plans and without this and that, and not being well equipped and not thinking about what them folks is going to do if you come through, and how we going to get folks out of jail if things pop off, and we don't have any contingency plans, but you got all the rah-rah. You know what I mean?
Nope. There you go. Episodic.
Yeah, man. And then that's not to disrespect our brothers and sisters. It's just to say that we gotta, we can't expect that we're gonna go out there and put ourselves in harm's way without a plan or a strategy, because almost something is always bound to happen.
What?
Within the midst of you trying to do those sorts of things.
And what did James Baldwin say?
Assert your agency. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just going to say, and what did James Baldwin say about black people? Can you hear me?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know which saying you want to go ahead, tell us, because I don't know which one
I just want I heard me or not. He said that black people are politically.
You breaking up a minute. Let me see.
Did you hear me?
Say that one more time.
He said that we are politically unsophisticated and internationally illiterate.
Yeah. That could be the case, but it's not staying that way. Let's check this out right here. A power to the Ppl Newz moment on the Real HD show. And actually, this is a clip that you gave me, bro, about what's going on with Pan-Africanism overseas. Check it out, Real HD show. Let's talk about it on the other side.
Kenyan President William Ruto and Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore are leading a bold new Pan-African project that could change the continent forever. Their plan includes a single African currency called Afro Money, with a central bank split between Kenya and Somalia. But that's not all. Africans will soon travel visa-free across all member countries, creating a truly united continent. A new African passport has already leaked online, showing a stunning design that proudly displays each country's name. The project is gaining massive support, with Nigeria and Ghana set to become the headquarters of the new Afro Union, while South Africa will host the African Supreme Court. Burkina Faso president will be the chairman of this union. This could mark the biggest step toward African unity in history. However, not everyone is happy.
The European Union is secretly opposing the project, fearing that Russia could gain influence in Africa. Reports suggest they are even threatening sanctions to stop the plan. Despite the pressure, Africa is rising like never before. If this project succeeds, it will free the continent from Western control, boost trade, and make Africa a global powerhouse.
All right. So we first had the Sheikh Anta Diop Museum, National African Museum of African Civilizations, that featured all African civilizations across the globe. And politically, they're challenging the European macro societies to give back some of Africa's treasures, give back some of Africa's treasures that were stolen and co-opted as their own. And, they're getting into those creeds finally. And now you got these moves by the Pan-Africanists that want to, that want to have solidarity with each other. Brother Mozzie, I'll give you the floor on this one because you introduced me to that video. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I think that we finally have some new bold leadership in Africa that have studied the many who have come before them, that have talked about how powerful Africa could be if it would ever adopt a Pan-Africanist philosophy and do what other nations and other folks, be it Asian, be it European, doing the same things that they do, and realizing how important they are. The world don't go without Africa. It's just that simple. And there's some people who recognize that, and now they have to make sure that they do what they need to do to start getting the other countries on board. And once they do that, man, you can't do nothing but bow your head in respect.
Yeah, Sister Aurora, what do you think of the Pan-Africanist efforts?
I'm just very happy to
Sure.
see it growing. I mean, I attended the Pan Am Jam in Abidjan years ago. I think it was probably 1992.
Hey,
And
Sister Aurora, I'll be right back. Y'all keep going on that topic. I'll be right back.
yeah, so I attended the Pan Am Jam in Africa in 1992, believe, because the theory is if Africa unites, then it'll tilt the rest of the world. Because people have to remember Africa is not a country, it's a continent. Okay. And inside that continent are many countries. So it's good to see. I also was on an online guest a few months back for a Pan Am Jam built on education and the person's school kids coming from there to the United States for class lessons, and the expectation is that they come back home and each one teach one, and they come looking for you if you don't know how to return on your own. So, so that
But you know what? It's dope, though. It's dope that this is finally happening.
Yeah.
Think about some of the great people we've had who, throughout history, that pushed for the independence of Africa, and two, the African diaspora to unite with a Pan-Africanist philosophy. And, it was a long time coming, but we're getting there slowly. Now what we have to do is we have to protect those individuals who started the movement. But here's what's funny. Traore, in particular, Burkina Faso, he's a Nation of Islam fan.
Yes.
So you will notice how he moves. He moves the way Farrakhan and other brothers in the nation always move. I ain't going nowhere without my security.
Right. Right.
And because he knows, he already knows that there's a, that, yeah, and he understands that some stuff is going to go on to try to take him down.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
How do we, because they said Pan-Africanism, okay? So in the spirit of Lumumba, in the spirit of Marcus, in the spirit of all of the brothers and sisters who put it down, you even had the elites of the Harlem Renaissance went to Paris and try to, ignite some folks over there who were black to get over here and do some things, some cross continental powers and currency and things like that. How do we here in the states can get involved in things like that during the Trump era? How do we participate with those sorts of things? Is it like a commerce end? Is it a political end? Community ties end? Sister Aurora, what do you think one of the ways that we can participate in something
Well,
like this?
nationally, it's like I was sharing earlier. In 1992, I went to Africa as an invited guest for the Pan Am Jam, and Terry Williams and them sponsored Here Comes the Dawn and the cameraman and all these people so that we can go over there, and we did. And so this is a long time coming. It was great sitting there in the midst, and they always believe that once Africa becomes united, because again, you always got to remember, those who don't know, Africa is a continent with many countries. Okay, it's
Yes.
not a country; it's a
Yes.
continent with many countries. And so they always said if they were able to unify Africa, it will tilt the world. And so those are some of the things that's happening. The way people can join, like I was sharing, I was on a panel a few months ago, similar to your show here. There is a show that brings in everyone from the Congo, it's just great to hear them. And that plays on Saturdays as well. So anyone in different groups could join those. You have LinkedIn is a good place
What's
to
the
find
what's the
other
what,
programs.
what's the name of the show?
I can actually tell you, I'll actually bring it up because it's on Saturdays.
Uh-huh.
And yes.
Because what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to do teams within the show with other like-minded shows and
Mm-hmm.
bring their crew on. We go to their show, and then we chop it up on a real way and try to create some real dialogue and some real solutions. Put it in the
Yeah,
DM
I'll
me
put it in
on,
the chat. Yeah, I'll find it and put it in the chat because they
yeah, or
just
you could
had.
DM me on Facebook or
Okay.
whichever way we can get it to each other. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's one, that one for education. And I met people in the Congo now. I mean, this is just months ago because we're still trying to push a education agenda that African Americans can actually thrive off of as well. I don't think that we have it all together here because we're so split. But
Right. Right.
teams such as these programs in Nigeria Anderson, she does the Urban Buzz Mag. You can go on there. But the show that I was on and what people from all the countries around the continent and they work with a group in Jersey. But I'm gonna put all that information. I'll find out the actual names. I keep forgetting the names of these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so they do have a show. They meet leadership. What is his name? Aminata Njeri, Dr. Aminata Njeri, and Charles Barron out of Brooklyn. They used to have these workshops called leadership. So they do leadershipology. And as you know, Charles Barron and his wife, they're both council persons in Brooklyn, but they also teach you how for us to get grounded in the political realms, even starting in your community, running for library boards and things like that. But they extended that to a group of young folks from out of South Africa. I hosted two of those persons when they came here. They had hosts just like me, different people that were going to host them to be at this conference. And the conference was held in Newark. And so there's a lot of areas that even like the show like this, I'll even make sure I get it because they always sit there and want people to join and they hear all of our voices. So I will make sure I get that information.
Thank you. And yeah, and speaking of Pan-Africanism, to close out, we're gonna celebrate our sisters and we're gonna take it to JA. We're gonna take it to Jamaica. and we're going to celebrate one of our sisters who often doesn't get a lot of praise. But if it wasn't for her, love is rock, reggae, Afro beats, the influence on the American music wouldn't be the same way it was. Let's featuring the queen of reggae music. Let's check this out on the Real HD Show.
To bring reggae to the world, meet Patricia Chin, affectionately called Miss Pat, the queen behind the beats that shaped Jamaican music history. It all started in 1958 when Miss Pat and her husband, Vincent Chin, opened Randy's Record Mart in downtown Kingston. But they didn't just sell records, they made them. Upstairs at Randy's Studio 17, legends like Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, and Augustus Pablo recorded the sounds that defined reggae and dancehall. In the 70s, the Chins moved to New York. They opened a new store in Queens and named it VP Records after Vincent and Patricia. What started out as a small record shop quickly became the biggest independent reggae label in the world. VP Records launched the careers of some of the biggest names in reggae and dancehall. Shabba Ranks, Buju Banton, Lady Saw, you name it. Today, VP Records is more than just a label. It's a legacy. The retail store in Queens still thrives. This one. And Miss Pat remains a powerhouse, preserving and promoting Jamaican music for new generations. Big up Miss Pat, a true reggae icon.
All right, there you go. Really, really dope. And what a lot of people don't know is that there's a lot of influence in Jamaica with Caribbean, Asian, and Irish. That's a heavy influence. That's how patois as a language became what it is, because of those varying influences. Because of course the wars, and you're bringing different peoples and populations together in the Caribbean. And Miss Pat and her husband are half or mixed with black, but they look more Asian than black. You know, so on and so forth. I don't have to go through the black influence on Asian culture. We done that to death on the show. But that's a done deal in my opinion. If anybody's watching who needs that, please go back maybe about 8 or so episodes ago. We went over the Muslim influence over Asia, and then we just recently we talked about Chocolate City, right, Brother Mozzie? Yeah, Guangzhou in China. So, we did all of that on the show. Go watch that, give it a like, give us a subscribe for that. That was really good information. And now we have Miss Pat, responsible for international music dynamo in reggae, which has morphed into Afro beats. And we just want to praise that. We want to give a little shout out to the sister and her accomplishments and her launching some of the things that some of the most celebrated artists of reggae that have changed the world. I mean, Bob Marley wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for Miss Pat and her exploits. And also in her studio is where that offbeat rhythm that reggae resonates with. The beat on the third instead of the beat on the fourth countermeasure, which makes reggae so famous. If you listen to it, you'll hear it right away. Especially if you listen to any Peter Tosh or Bob Marley stuff, some of the older stuff, you'll hear it right away. So we just want to celebrate that sister and her dope. They call her Queen Pat of Jamaica, and her contributions during Original Women's History Month. Anything on Queen Pat? Are we good?
Okay.
We're good. We're good. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. You got a last word on that, bro? Okay.
Nah, I keep moving around and trying to get a good connection.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro. So, all right. So, we want to thank everybody for coming on. We want to make sure and let you know that the Real HD Show is here for you. We need you. We need your voice. It's your voice, your victory. We can't do it without you. We had a really great show on Monday with Sister Denise and Brother Godspeed. Sister Aurora was there. I didn't know if Brother Mozzie was busy, but you know, it is what it is. And we want to continue to have spirited episodes like that where we can throw a little bit of everything all over and deal with our people in a 360-degree fashion for freedom, justice, and liberation. So please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you timestamp anything that you liked about the show. Send us comments. Turn on all your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD show, you guys can tap in and have a higher discussion with us. And with that, for Brother Mozzie, for Sister Aurora, we're gonna say peace and y'all walk with power. And we will see y'all later.
Stay well, everyone. Bye bye.